Hi, my name is James Rodríguez. I'm here. I'm a part of the artistic cohort at the Jungle Theater, and I'm here with Mandric Tan,
Right.
the music director for Cambodian Rock Band, which runs June 11th through July 31st at the Jungle Theater. Hit up jungletheater.org for tickets and information. Mandric, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, most welcome. Thank
Cool.
you for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm so excited to have you be part of this production. I just want you to, first off, just start off, give us a little bit of background about who you are, where you come from musically, and yeah, just a brief overview about you.
Right. Basically my background was that I went to music college just like every other kid, right? And yeah, after graduation, I found a career in actually music production. So I'm actually a studio guy. We make records. We do live shows. In fact, I'm in a company right now that deals with uh, selling national education messages for the Singapore government, right? So somewhere along the lines where we actually kind of sell propaganda, right? But cool propaganda.
Okay.
So a lot of my background has always been, like I mentioned before, studio work and live concerts. And of course, this is my first time being a music director for a theatrical play. So I'm actually really excited. And I have had a really good experience working with the folks at the Jungle for rehearsal so far. Right.
Excellent. Excellent. Cool. Well, that sort of leads me to the next question. Knowing that, music directing for live theatrical shows is new for you. Could you tell us a little bit about some of your initial thoughts and feelings about approaching a piece like this and how you wanted to take this on?
Right. So initially, I think the director Lily, when she did an interview with me, she did mention something along the lines of, "Hey, Mandric, will you be okay with working with actors who are not exactly musicians, who have varying levels of like competency on their instrument? Will you be able to handle that and put the show together?" I thought to myself, even in a professional setting, that happens as well, right? You could have the best rock guitarist on a jazz gig and he will still not play it, right? It doesn't mean like, if you're excellent with your instrument proficiency, which means that you can handle it. I think one of the more exciting journeys was actually to sometimes modify or simplify a part without compromising the integrity of the music, in a sense where if the note needs to hold, but it still sounds good, I don't care. It sounds good. Right. So and also working with actors in a setting where I can actually see the script flow into the music and as well as out of the music, right? Was a new experience for me. When I first got the script, I read it once and I totally couldn't visualize anything from the script.
Okay.
Also because like maybe I was just monologuing to myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of the emotions, a lot of the expression was not there. And after the script read on the first day of the rehearsal, everything just started to come together. I'm like, oh, I see now. So I think I've gained new experiences and new knowledge in the sense where if I read a new script now, I think my imagination definitely has expanded. So those are one of the really cool things that I've experienced so far with Cambodian Rock Band.
Cool. Can you talk a little bit about, for me, I've been, read the script and I've been listening to the music quite a bit now because it is really catchy, really fun. Right. And then there's some pieces that are just really a little more solemn and really, really beautiful songs that emote a lot in the piece. But I know that, this sound in particular is a sound that historically, musically existed. This isn't necessarily brand new. But could you talk a little bit about the Cambodian rock sound, a little bit about the background of just kind of this style of music and how it manifests itself in this play?
All right. So if we look back at like even the soundtrack, or even like in commonplace in Southeast Asia for rock bands, they are performing in bars, they're performing in clubs. One thing is evident, which is that the music influence definitely comes from the West. And these are all like kind of like wartime influences where, you know, the troops will bring in their music, whether is it in the form of records or they were actually playing it. And with whether is it Lao or Thai or Cambodian or Vietnamese music, a lot of the sound is actually influenced by the language itself, right? So some of us maybe know that different languages have varying tones. Like, for example, Mandarin has 4 tones, Cantonese has 9 tones, you know, Cambodian apparently has like more than 10 tones, right, in terms of sound. And what native speakers don't actually realize is that every time they speak a language, it's almost as though they are actually singing it, in a sense, where the form actually goes up and down depending on like the diphthongs that construct the word itself. So a word could be going up in pitch, like ngoi, for example, which is ngoi, for example, right? So your pitch actually goes up, and all these what in technical musical terms would be microtonal, like pitch shifts, right? So which is something that that gives Southeast Asian Western music, right, a certain sound of it. So mainly it's driven by the vocals, but in our case in Cambodian rock band, I tried an experiment where I actually had the keyboard player tune the keyboard. Actually, I tuned the keyboard to the Cambodian scale, or something very similar to the Cambodian scale, right? So it's based off like a G pentatonic scale, and then there are micro shifts between like each of the notes. So like the C is like a little bit flat, the D is a little bit sharp, and so on and so forth. Through I think about 2 or 3 days of rehearsal, I kind of further modified the scale to fit into the context of the Cambodian rock band music. And it actually sounds more solid now as compared to before, where the pitches were actually very, very unstable, right? So when we went full ethnic into like the entire like authentic tuning of the Cambodian scale, we found that the singers were actually very uncomfortable with singing with the music, because it is something that is not familiar to them. Yeah, they were like, hey, is this right? Am I out? You know, they are out, but they are in. That's the that's the beauty about it. So microtonal music is actually very interesting. I will shout out to my ex-colleague Georgi from Georgia, who actually introduced me to Georgian microtonal music, which gave me some sort of a context into like trying to plan for like a certain sound that we were going for with a Cambodian rock band. Cool. So I think yeah, it's the tuning is actually the most obvious in the second song, which is Uku for the show. And when the flute plays that lead line on top, you'd be like, yeah, that's Southeast Asia.
Yeah, yeah. And what I love about that is, you know, and I'm glad that you talked about this, because I was able to catch some of what you talked about on the first day of rehearsals. I was on Zoom. And I heard that you were modifying and just sort of playing with what was already there that was written, and I thought that was really interesting. Even more so when I did a little bit more research, and I learned on Spotify there is they created a cast recording of the show that was done at the Signature Theater. But I read that they didn't want to call it an original cast recording, because they wanted to honor the fact that this was an evolution of the music, that the recording that they recorded isn't necessarily just the original, because it had been through iterations and it has evolved. And I think that that's, you know, your approach to it is in that spirit of the evolution of this piece. It's not done yet. You know, there is ways to still, you know, even more so deepen this music and make it richer to inform the piece. So I really appreciate that level of thought going into this music. It sort of leads me into the next question. How do you think that this music really informs and helps drive this really powerful and beautiful script?
Okay, this is actually a really tough question, because
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's still a play.
Totally, yeah.
Right? It's still a play, but with the rock band element actually plays a part in the storytelling, because the main cast are in the rock band, right? And it's a story about like friendship, and then a father and daughter story. Mm-hmm. I think that the music drives the story by going through. It is a conduit from joy to sorrow as the play moves along. So you know, the main character is finding lots of positive emotions, right, from playing with the band and the music at the beginning, and then it turns into absolutely something else, which you will find out when you come for the show.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm doing I'm trying my hardest to not give away too much about, you know, my thoughts and too much about the plot of the music, because I do think it's most definitely something that needs to be experienced to really feel the answer to some of these questions. So I appreciate you doing the same. Finally, one last question. What are you most excited about the audience experiencing and taking away from a piece like this? Not just the play itself, because I think, like I said, you know, it's a really powerful piece as a script, but I do believe that the music really just gives it more life. But what are you excited for the audience to take away?
Unfortunately, I think that the music is actually secondary to the story.
Okay.
It's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think the story is, you know, could serve as a source of education at some point, right? To the plight of the people at that point in time. I think what is most exciting is for the audience to actually experience the journey, right, from the start to the end, and we will find that, you know, it starts pretty lighthearted at the beginning, and then it turns into something else, of which you need to come for the show.
Yeah.
And I think that the emotions that are driven throughout the story are very powerful. And it talks about like intergenerational trauma. Mm-hmm. It talks about like you know, very like instinctive human behavior, instinctive parental behavior, right? And I think those are the messages that will probably resonate with a lot of people, because, you know, I'm not a parent yet, but for some people who are, mm-hmm. or I'm a child of a parent, right? Some things actually resonate a lot with me, and they make a lot of sense because it is done subconsciously, but it is on display here at on the show, and it is something that you will definitely connect with as an audience watching the show.
Excellent. Well, Mandric, I thank you so much for giving us your time, giving your talents to the jungle and to Moo. I am really excited to watch the show myself. In the meantime, I just keep listening to the music, and there gets stuck in my head. And there's a few songs in particular, but I don't want to let on too much, because I definitely want audiences to come experience it for themselves. So again, yeah, please join us for Cambodian Rock Band running June 11th through July 31st at the Jungle Theater. Hit up the website jungletheater.org for more information. Thank you so much, Mandric.
Right.
Best of luck in the rest of rehearsals, and we can't wait to see the show.
Thank you. For those that are coming, please pay $45.
Yes, absolutely. We got sliding scale, but if you can, please support both theaters. Certainly, we'd love for you to. Thank you
Right.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you, James.
Thank you.